turn it off. Okay. So, profession is that occupation where the person who is doing that work has a specialized knowledge. That means expert knowledge. He has an overall knowledge and he is an expert in that area. So, the person who is doing that work has a specialized knowledge about that work, and not only the knowledge, but that person also has the skill to do that work. Okay, so these two words are very important: specialized knowledge and skill. Specialized knowledge of that work and how to do that work. He should have the skill to do that work. So, if a person has both of this, then that person will be that kind of work will be known as a profession. And the people who do or who undertake profession are known as professionals. So, the people who do professional work are known as professionals. Now, let me give you an example of such work. Uh, Doctors, if you see doctors, if you see lawyers, if you see a chartered accountant. Okay, so let me take these three examples: a doctor, lawyer, chartered accountant. All these three kind of work or activity is known as profession. They carry out a profession. Okay, so these people are known as professionals. Why do we call them as professionals? Because let's again look into the definition. They are people who have specialized knowledge. A doctor has a specialized knowledge. He has done MBBS and then he further goes on to do his MD to become a doctor. A person who is a lawyer does LLB, LLM, and then goes on to become a lawyer. A chartered accountant has done his CA, his CA from ICAI, that is the professional body of chartered accountants, and hence he has the knowledge about it. And not only the knowledge, they also have the skill of doing it. How do they get the skill of doing it? Because they undergo a period of internship. Soon after a person completes his MBBS, or soon after a person completes his medical course, he cannot straight away go to a hospital, or he cannot straight away start a clinic of his own. He has to undergo a period of internship where he gets trained by other professionals. Okay, he works under some people, learns the skill, gets the skill, and then only he can go ahead and start a job of his own. Okay, so those kinds of people, they are known as professionals. Why? Because they have specialized knowledge and they also have skill of doing that knowledge, of doing that work. So now I hope you can differentiate between business and profession. Okay, doctors and all, they are not doing business. Okay, they are doing profession. They are professionals. Now let's go to employment. Now, what is employment? Employment is an occupation, a work under which people work under an employer to be paid in return. That means a group of people working under a person who pays them the money, and that entire process is known as employment. So, under employment, there are two parties. One is an employer. The employer gives job, gives work, and the people who do work, they are known as employees. I hope you know this already. But why do they work? Why do employees work for the employer? Because they will be paid in return of their work. They will get some money in return of what they are doing for the employer. So that entire thing is known as employment. Now I hope you understand. So let me give you some example of employment. People who work in factories, people who work in government offices and departments, people who work in banks, people who work in insurance companies, all these people are employees who are working under an employment. So this employer. So this entire thing is known as employment. So let's once again understand what is a business. Business is where exchange of goods and services takes place. That means buying and selling of goods and services takes place so that the businessman can earn money, so that the businessman can earn profit out of it. Profession is an occupation where the people who are doing that work has specialized knowledge, expert knowledge about what they are doing. And not only do they have specialized knowledge, but they also have the skill of doing that work. Then employment is where an employer, a person, gives work to employee, the person who is doing the work, and in return the employer pays money to the employee. Okay, I hope this is clear to you. Now let's move to the second differentiation, that is nature of work. What kind of work do they deal in? Talking about business, they deal in the exchange of goods and services. Exchange of goods and services takes place in business. That we have understood very well, that buying and selling of goods and services takes place in business. The businessman either makes something and sells, or a businessman procures or buys things from somewhere and then sells it to the customers. And he does that. Why does he does that? He does that to earn profit. But if you consider the nature of work under profession, that is different from business. Now, how is that different from business? Profession includes personalized and expert service. Personalized and expert service. These two words are again important. It includes, profession includes personalized service. That means face to face, in person, direct, in person service. That means if you want to, get the service of a doctor, you cannot sit at your home and say that I need a doctor. No, you have to go to a doctor. A doctor must face the patient, and then only the doctor will be able to provide or help the patient. Until and unless the patient goes to the doctor, he cannot help that person. Or in other words, or else sometimes even doctors also come to our house and they help us. So in whatever way, the main thing is that there should be a personalization. That means the professionals, they must come in contact, they must come face to face in contact with the people who need the service. Or let's say lawyer, if you want if we want to take the help of a lawyer, you cannot just sit at home and do and take his help. You cannot take sit at home and take or take the benefit of his service. You have to go to him, or at least the lawyer has to come to your place. So there has to be a personalized session, a face to face talk, a face to face interaction between the person who is going to give the service and the person who is going to take the service. Then they also give expert service. There, the service that they give is not general service. The kind of service that professionals give, they are expert service. Okay. Then what is the nature of work under employment? Employment is under employment, employees have to do all those work which their employer wants them to do. They will, the employer at the time of getting the employee into the company will set some rules, will set some work. So these are the works that you must do. So the employee must do all those works which the employer asks them to do. So now I hope you understood the difference between the nature of work when it comes to business, profession, and employment. We move to the next one, that is code of conduct. What do we mean by code of conduct? Code of conduct means, okay, the thing is, I don't speak Kannada, and that is why it is. I hope. See, if you want, I can make the language easy for you. But sorry, I don't know Kannada, and I cannot speak in Kannada. Okay, I hope. So we'll move ahead. We'll move ahead to the next point, that is code of conduct. What do we mean by code of conduct? Code of conduct means rules and regulations. So when we are doing a business, there is no such written rules and regulations that a businessman must follow. There is no such written rules and regulations that a businessman must follow. But when we come to profession, professionals must, it is a must for professionals to follow the rules and regulations which are set by the professional bodies. Now, what are professional bodies? Professional bodies are those institutions, those organizations that lays down lays down the functioning, or how should a doctor work, how should a lawyer behave. So these are the institutions which actually lay down the rules and regulations of profession. So what is the professional body of doctors? Doctors come under Indian Medical Council. Indian Medical Council is the professional body of doctors. If we consider lawyers, then Bar Council of India. Bar Council of India uh, is the professional body of lawyers. If we consider chartered accountants, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, that is the professional body that controls the work of chartered accountants in India. So professionals, they are working under professional bodies, and since they are under professional bodies, they have to abide by, or they have to follow the rules and regulations which are laid down by these professional bodies. But when it comes to employment, employees must follow all the rules and regulations which are set by their employer. So they are completely under their employer. So whatever work the employer gives, employee has to do. Whatever rules and regulations the employer sets, the employee has to obey. Professionals, they have to obey the rules and regulations which are set by, or which are given by, the professional bodies, like Indian Council of India for doctors, Indian Medical Council for doctors, Bar Council of India for lawyers, Institute of Chartered Accountants of India for chartered accountants. Next, we move to remuneration. Now, this word is new to all of you, but the meaning of this word is the word is remuneration. The meaning of this is payment. Okay? The simple meaning of this is payment. Remuneration. Business people gets paid in the form of profits. Okay, business earns profit, and that is the remuneration that business people get. Professionals are paid or remunerated in the form of professional fee. Consider the word professional fee. You do not, whenever you go to a doctor, you do not give him a salary. Okay, you do not give him a salary. What do you pay him? You give him professional fee. You pay him a kind of fee, and that fee is known as professional fee. Or when you go to a lawyer or take the help of a lawyer, at that time you do not pay him salary or wages. What do you pay? You pay fee to him. So professionals are paid with professional fee. Businessmen are paid with their profits, and employees, they get salaries or wages. In employment also, there are two groups of people. One group of people, they are known as skilled laborers, people who have some kind of a skill, some kind of uh, uh, art, who know some kind of an art to do their work. So those people will be paid with salary. And unskilled laborers, people who do not know any kind of skill, who do not know how to do certain work, but they will do whatever you ask them to do, like laborers. If you ask them to take a table and move it to another room, they will do it. So those people are known as unskilled laborers. So unskilled laborers are paid with wages, whereas skilled laborers are paid with salary. Okay, I hope this is also clear to you. Say, salaries and wages are not same. Normally we use it in the same context for everything in the same way, but there is a difference between salary, there is a difference between wage. Wage is paid to unskilled laborers, whereas salary is paid to skilled laborers. Then professional fee is given to professionals, and profit to businessmen. And what is this known as? This is known as remuneration. Next, we come to qualification. What kind of qualification does a businessman need to start his business? There is no minimum qualification needed. Even a person who has completed his MBA can start a business. Even a person who has completed his class 4, class 5 can also start his own business. Even a chai wala is doing his business. Even Mukesh Ambani is doing his business. So there is no minimum qualification to start a business. Whereas if you are starting a profession, then you need specialized knowledge. A doctor does his MBBS, then he goes for doing his MD, that is Master of Doctorate, then only he becomes a doctor. A person does LLB, then LLM, and then only he goes on to become a lawyer. So specialized knowledge is needed in profession. And under employment, again, there is regarding employment, the qualification is fixed by the employer. If the employer says that I only need those people who have completed their masters, then all those people who have done their bachelor or the graduation, they cannot apply for the job. So in terms of employment, when we are talking about employment, qualification is fixed by the employer. Whereas when we are talking about profession, the people who are doing profession, they have to have specialized knowledge. And those people who are doing business, they need not have any minimum qualification. They can be highly qualified, they can be very low qualified. Next is mode of establishment. Mode of establishment means how to start the work. A businessman can start a work whenever he is ready to do the work, or whenever he has enough money or enough capital. Capital means what? The initial money to start a business. So if a business, if a person has enough money in his hand to start a business, he can start a business. So when we talk about business, it is completely up to the person who is starting the business, or we call that person an entrepreneur. Entrepreneur is the word comes from a French word, and hence we pronounce it as entrepreneur. Entrepreneur is a person who takes the risk and starts a business. So it is completely up to the entrepreneur when to start the business. Okay. But when it comes to a professional, when it comes to, say, let's say, when it comes to a doctor has to start his business only when he gets the certificate of practice from the professional body. If he does not get just because a person has completed his MBBS, MD, or just because he has done some months of internship, he cannot start his work. He has to be registered in the professional body, and he also needs to get a certificate of practice to start his work. Under employment, employees should get an appointment letter from the employer to start the work. Next, we come to capital investment. Capital is what? Is the initial sum of money that a person puts into a business or any kind of work. So in business, we know that it needs high amount of capital. But when we talk about profession, it needs limited amount of capital. Now, why are we even saying that profession needs capital? Say if a person wants to start his own clinic, if a doctor wants to start his own clinic, he will be needing some money to set that clinic up, right? Or if a lawyer or if a chartered accountant wants to start his own firm, then for that also they will be needing some amount of money to start that work. So because of that, we say that profession demands limited capital. Under employment, you don't need any such capital. Employees do not need any capital to go and get a work. Whenever we go to work somewhere, we do not pay anything to go and work somewhere, right? So we are selected on the basis of the skill and the knowledge that we have and the requirement that the employer has with us. So based on that, he chooses us, not because we pay some money, not because of that. But a business needs high amount of capital, profession needs limited amount of capital, but employment, under employment, employee does not have to pay any sum of money to get the work done. Next is risk. We know that business involves a lot of risk, and we discussed that in the last class. Profession has some amount of risk. Why? Because definitely they do get some amount of fee, and they also professionals, they get their fee on regular basis, but sometimes there can be some kind of a problem because of which sometimes they can go on strike. Sometimes doctors say that the kind of privileges that we are getting is low, or some kind of a strike. They can go for some kind of a strike, and that can their clinics or their hospitals might be shut for 1 or 2 days. That can affect their income. So in profession also there is some kind of a risk involved, but not too much, not as a business involves. Next is employment. There we can say that there is almost nothing or very low amount of risk involved in employment. So this is what these are the different points of comparison between business, profession and employment. Again, I have prepared a note on this and I will be sending that note to you after this class. I request all of you to take those notes down. Please take those notes down and go through it and understand it properly. So let me quickly take you through the initial through this comparison once again. So first, what is business? What a business is, it deals with buying and selling of goods and services. But profession is what? It involves people who have specialized knowledge and who also have some skill to do that work. Employment is where a person gives work to another and in return pays some money. Business again deals with buying and selling of goods and services. Profession deals with giving personalized and expert services to the people who come for any kind of help. And uh, and employment, it deals with abiding by all the conditions that are mentioned in their contract services. Whatever the employer asks the employee to do, the employee has to do those work. Code of conduct, there is no such written code of conduct for business, but when it comes to profession, they have a code of conduct which is established, which is given by their professional bodies. But when it comes to employment, the employee has to obey all that the employer asks them to do or asks them to obey. Remuneration or payment, businessmen get profit, professionals get professional fee, employees get salaries or wages. There is no minimum qualification required for a business. There is specialized knowledge required for a profession, and whatever is prescribed by the employer, the employee must have in order to enter into an employment. A business can be started when an entrepreneur wants to start. A profession can be started only when the professional gets a certificate of practice from the professional body, and an employee can start working once he or she gets an appointment letter